Good evening, everyone, and for those that are watching at home, Tommy, we're ready to go. Thank you to Tommy Chandler, one of our many great audiovisual information services staff, for bringing this to you live stream. To those that are watching, and we know there are a number of you, we thank you very much for being involved in education and watching this live streamed or on tape delay. We appreciate you. We have a short agenda this evening. Let me tell you what we're going to do, and then we'll accomplish it. We want to give the board members an update on our capital projects, because in 2 weeks, we're going to ask you to approve anywhere between 4 and 7 contracts and 4 and 7 bids. That'll come in 2 weeks. So that's number one reason. And number two, we want to give you an update on where we are with positioning of some of our equipment, et cetera, et cetera. After that, we have an agenda review, which shouldn't take too long, and followed by a number of updates I'd like to share with the board and the community. So again, this is not a voting meeting this evening. This is a work session. And to kick off our work session, I want to introduce our capital projects team. They're familiar to you: Chris Dowling, Stu Lowe, Bill Zagrafis from CPL, working very hard. Let me tell you where we are in the process, and then we'll call up the PowerPoint. The project has hit the streets. As a matter of fact, it's winding down. Next Tuesday at 2 o'clock at this very table, we will be joined by the prospective bidders, of which Stu will give you a little update on in a minute. And we will see who the prospective low bidders are for our $29.2 million capital improvement project. That'll be next Tuesday. Subsequent to that, I will let you, the board members, know who the apparent low bidders are, and I'm going to ask you from there to approve them, if you're comfortable, on the 25th. In the meantime, the team in front of you, including Earl and Richard and Chris and Tony Maselli and Stu, will de-scope to make sure that these bidders have everything that we expect to be in their bid package that accompanies their cost. So Ray, if you'd pull this up, I will, thank you, Bill, for putting this PowerPoint together. First thing we want to show you is just a status report on our American Rescue Funds project. So we'll do that, then we'll do the capital project. Then I want you to see the gym floor, and then I want you to see the building condition survey, which is something else that you allocated money for and that we're required to do. So let's move, Ray, to the American Rescue Funds project. And what I would tell you about this very tiny print is all of these things that we're going to talk about now are paid for using the American Rescue Funds. These are not in the capital projects, $29.2 million. These are monies from our American Rescue Funds that were given to us at the end of the pandemic to use. And you'll notice, to those that are working or listening at home, why they mainly involve air chillers, air handlers, replacements for better air systems in our schools. So work continues on all of these projects. Right now, and you'll see payments, right now the biggest 2 projects that remain for American Rescue are at Kelfis and at Niagara Falls High School. So is it Stu? Are you going to talk about the status of where we are at Kelfis? Bill, who's going to talk about it? I'd like the board to know where we are with the Kelfis project.
Evening. So at Kelfis, 4 of the 7 systems are completely retrofitted with the new equipment. We have 3 more to go. They're sistering the piping in the crawl space for one of them. Right now, that will be tied in over Easter break. The remaining 2, because they're in classrooms, they're not in crawl space work, will be done over the summer, as well as the remaining DOAS work, which is replacing the heat wheels on the 2 DOAS units and adding air conditioning to one of them to temper dehumidify the air coming into the space. At the high school, you'll see some pictures of some of the demo work going on. The new cooling tower is on the roof. We took the old one down, set the new one on Veterans Day weekend. And the chillers are being demoed now. They should be pulling the barrels out sometime next week. It's a slower week with the exams going on at the high school, so not as many students there. Won't be as disruptive to have a small boom truck out there to pull the barrels out of the basement.
Do you have some pictures here, Stu?
There's, yeah, some pictures down the road you can flip. So that's the dismantling one of the chillers. That's the barrels. They've already taken the compressors off, already demoed all the piping out in the mechanical room. You can go to the next one. That's where the pumps used to be there. So they're in good. You can see the lower barrel on the right-hand side there that's still left. So probably 85% of the demo in the chiller room is done. So it's going very well. We're actually, I think we're ahead of schedule. Correct, the basement. So
Any major problems, things that the board should be aware of, slowdowns, project delays, anything that you're seeing here, Stu?
I don't see any delays. Had to rework a little bit on the steam coils, add a secondary valve on the steam coils, but we're good with everything. Those are going to be done this summer, the steam coils and valves. We got one of the chilled water coils done over Christmas in one of the air handlers. The other one's going to be done over Easter. So, but I don't see any delays. The new chillers are on site in storage in the Connex. Everything's fallen into place. I mean, DV Brown's doing a great job. CIR's right there when we need them. Johnson Controls. We have a good team on this project. Everything's going well. We go to the next. Where? For the high school, the chillers are for the air conditioning. Steam coils are for the air handlers in the penthouses. So we. Yeah, correct. For the heat. Yeah. So tempers the air, supply air. That's the makeup air for the building, the ventilation air. This is Chad, guy from DV Brown, and the piping that we're doing down in the crawl space underneath Calfus for all the refrigerant lines. That's just a small snapshot of the probably 3 miles of tubing he's putting in down there in the basement. So he's doing well. It's being done right. Everything's the way it's supposed to be, level, and the fittings are correct, and everything is up to snuff. So. That one, not yet. He's still fitting that one up. Correct. Correct. Yep. Yeah, that's 410A.
There better not be any.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we'll need to, but so on those, you can see that in the forefront, you see a series of valves. You can isolate each zone with those valves, and you can determine which one is leaking by pressure testing, and then you just use your sniffer, your leak detector, or bubbles. Some you can. There's some really sensitive electronic leak detectors now they use.
Just two things I want to point out before we move on. One, it's very important to note, and I want to reinforce, this work must be done by no later than August, because Mr. Richard here with Becky has got to submit all of these for the money. And the money stops September 1st, well, September 30th, 2024, but I've told them it stops September 1st, 2024. That's the last date you could spend $1 of ARP money. So there is good movement. We're a little bit ahead of schedule. We've got the supplies here. The money is done, no extensions, and that's why it's important that we stay on the work. Do you anticipate any problem?
No, and the fact that we moved, you were gracious enough to move the programs out of Kelfis for the summer.
Yeah.
Frees us up to get everything done,
Yeah.
without the programs going on there, so.
So we usually have, what he's referring to is, we usually have our English as a new language program and a couple of other camps at Kelfis. We're gonna move those to GJ Mann, where the kids go as well, just so Kelfis is not interrupted with kids or in any way. I want that school to be wide open and left alone, and let the guys and gals work. I want to point out that even though you see just a few people, the project labor agreement is in place. It's being followed without any problems. And number two, we're putting a lot of good people to work at good companies like DV Brown, CIR, Johnson Controls, so I'm proud of that. Before we move on, there's something, Earl, I'd like you to mention mainly for our listening audience, and it was a note in here. Earl, they talked about MERV 13, and during COVID, there was a lot of talk about the MERV system. Could you just, for the board and of course for those listening at home, talk about that with air purification and filtration?
Right, so MERV 13 is basically the new standard of where we want to be with indoor air quality. As you all are aware, we've done a great deal about indoor air quality as part of the stewardship project and as part of this project. And everything that we have installed, pardon me, since the stewardship project has been MERV 13. And what you will see in the ABOFA project is even more of that, and even more direct outside air units where the air is coming from the outside, there's nothing mixed from the building, and it's as clean as it can be and as healthy as it can be. Hence why Richard named the project A Breath of Fresh Air.
That's his claim to fame. He got to name one thing. Every
He
10
nailed
years, every 10 years we'll get him to name one thing. Next time it'll be Terrence Pratt. You're up this time. Terrence gets to name the next thing. Thanks for explaining MERV. Could you move on, Ray? So now we move in, excuse me, we move into the Breath of Fresh Air project that Richard named. It's your one claim to fame. You'll never live it down. Everybody sees this. Everybody, the best part of it is, this is a true story. We had to come up with a name. He's quietly sitting in the back. He goes, well, we're doing a lot of air. What about a breath of fresh air? I said, I don't know, write it down. Next thing I know, we're sending things into the state with a breath of fresh air. And people are calling me like, what does ABOFA mean? The truth is, an accountant in the back of the room watching the money yelled something out and we adopted it. That's how we fly here. So congratulations. I mentioned this, and I'll let Bill take this away with the help of Chris and Stu. Bids close Tuesday the 16th, deadline, no extensions, 2 o'clock. Now, a local school district opened bids Tuesday of this week, and it's very concerning. I want you to know. The bid prices came at 35% over the estimates, and for their general contractors, they only had 3 bidders. For their electrical work, they only had 1 bidder, and for their site package, they had 1 bidder. That's not a great competitive atmosphere. We have pushed BCC, in particular Tony, Chris, and Stu, to really work with all prospective bidders to get as much bidding done as we can. So I don't know if you want to speak to the numbers that we're working with, because there are going to be 4 awards here. You want to take this one, Bill?
Yeah. So as Mark pointed out, bids are due Tuesday the 16th at 2 p.m. There are no further extensions. At this point, we, through Stu and Chris and BCC, have confirmed 3 general contractors are confirming participation. We've got 3 electrical contractors confirming participation, 5 mechanical contractors, and 3 plumbing contractors. So they've been through the school. There have been pre-bid meetings. BCC has facilitated, along with Earl, to get them into the school to look at the facilities and make sure that they're comfortable with what they're seeing on the drawings and what they're seeing in the field. Okay, and just to kind of reiterate what the scope of the project is, because we haven't talked about it in a couple of months. Security upgrades at all the schools, and that includes secured vestibules, window film, cameras, door contacts, air conditioning and ventilation upgrades at LaSalle and Gaskill, Walk of Fame at the high school, fuel tank infills, we're leaving them in place, draining them and then infilling them. That is at the administration building and the community education center. And there's an A after that, and that's an alternate. Through careful conversation with the district and BCC, we built a couple of alternates in to protect the bid. And the important things, security, the air conditioning, things like that, are the base bid. We want to make sure we build in a little bit of a safety net. Cataract boiler replacement is also an alternate. Niagara Falls High School fire shutter replacement, and also Niagara Falls High School branding is part of this. And as a matter of fact, if you could I just, pardon?
Can you go back one slide, Ray?
No.
We don't want to forget that we're also putting in
yeah.
our first greenhouse
Sorry.
at Bleneva Bond. We've done a lot of work on that. And I'm hopeful that the A's will go away, but it's not as competitive of a bidding environment as it has been, mainly because of the work with the stadium. So we're really trying to do everything to get the most competitive bids. However, it's my hope that with the 3, 3, 5, and 3, we're going to get some good bids back, and we've got some good estimates. But we wanted to protect the bids by pulling a few things to the side that we know we can get done, but having the money pulled out if we need to include them afterwards as an alternate. Jim, did you have a question?
Are the teachers in the classrooms are all going to have the ability to adjust their own temperature?
Within a band.
Go ahead, Earl.
Pardon me. So what we typically do so that we don't get wild swings from one room to the next, we usually give them plus or minus 2 degrees beyond a set point. For cooling, it's like 74 and they can go up to 76, or they could go as low as 72 with their own control, and that's it. Because you will have people that will run it down to 66 degrees in the middle of summer, and it's just not a healthy environment to run air conditioning that hard, and it's very energy inefficient. And the same thing on the other side for heating. We have it where we have the central set point usually at 70 degrees, and they can run it, they can set it back to 68, or they can push it up to 72 within their room. That's their bandwidth of local control. We can control it further through the facilities management system, but that's how we typically set up all of our buildings.
For instance, if I go into Maria's office, it will be 97 degrees consistently.
So where's the 4 degrees on that one?
Well, in that case, because if you come into my office, it will be 61 at its highest. Am I right? So what we've purchased for Maria and staff, Becky and other members, we've purchased blankets for them. So if they need to meet with me, they get a blanket when they come in the door. And if I have to go in her office, she immediately runs to different fans and other things that this is a true story. So Jim, there is a little local control by the classroom teacher. And again, Earl controls the big system so that we have some modicum over control for efficiency throughout the district. You wanted to go, I want you to show the next slide, but I'm not sure how. Can you tell the board what this is first before? Well, let me set this up. Earl, Stu, who else? Lauren, who I like. Earl's men and ladies. They took a trip to see this, whatever you're going to see here. It was a road trip. I called it a junket. I was getting pictures back from the car ride. It was a very crowded car. They were sitting like that. I've seen Earl drive. I was an immediate no on going. So this is what they went to see. What is this?
So, with Gaskill and LaSalle, because of their existing units and air handlers, dismantling them, they're large, we had to come up with a system that's a knockdown system. At LaSalle, our pinch point, which is our smallest point to get into the building, is 56 inches wide. You're not gonna get a whole air handler in there without cutting a chunk of the first floor out and setting it in. Okay, so I had dealt with Ingenia in the past. Lauren had seen Ingenia in the past. It's a quality unit, state-of-the-art facility we went to. This is just a 3D view that they sent us. If you can go ahead and hit it, Ray. It's kind of a breakdown. So there is no piece of this unit that is bigger than 56 inches wide. This is a little bit small, it comes through. But this is basically, we have 3 of these in each one of the schools. Okay, so it'll
Like a bunch of
rotate.
lockers.
Yeah, so, full access inside it. Stop, Ray. Oh. Keep going a little bit. All right, there. All right, so you have your cooling coil, your heating coil. There's 4 different fan banks here, all on variable frequency drives. It's a super efficient unit. It's all powder coated right there. They manufacture the coils right there in the plant. They were having trouble finding a coil manufacturer that made them to their specs, so they retooled their factory and they build their own coils now.
Replacement parts would be easy to get.
What's that?
Replacement parts would be easy.
Yeah, very easy. The fans in the unit are a Green Heck fan. So, you know, Green Heck's a major manufacturer, and they're incorporating those fans into the unit. Like I said, all the coils are manufactured right there. It's a knockdown unit, so we bring the floor panels in and we build it right in place. It's like a puzzle. It's all sealed, it's all powder coated, and very little. Yes, you can.
We selected the antimicrobial lining for these, so they all come fitted with an antimicrobial lining to be even more fitting to a breath of fresh air. What was really important about these is, given the spatial limitations of the basements of Gaskill and LaSalle Prep, it left very limited options for air handlers without going and trying to completely redesign the pre-existing structures of the buildings, ventilation systems, to put something up on the roof or whatever. We needed something that we could build right in the basement, and Ingenia is the pinnacle for that type of build-in-place technology.
That's a good word, pinnacle, Earl.
Pinnacle.
These are the units going into Gaskill and LaSalle, so you know, Russ.
Are these towers, are they open to the atmosphere on the roof? Water towers? These are.
No, these are the air handlers, Russ.
Right, no,
They are not the chillers.
No, but the chillers, are the chillers towers or chillers? They're sealed?
The chillers will be on the ground outside of both the buildings.
Yeah, I want to show you that, though. That's an important
Yeah.
question.
But they are air-cooled chillers.
They're right, but are they freon or they're what?
Freon.
Okay, so they're not open to the atmosphere.
No.
So we don't have the Legionnaire issue.
No, that's a cooling tower.
No, that's why we asked if they're towers or chillers.
I'm asking, I should know this.
My good friend at the DOH does not get another registry or 3 from us.
Is this different than we have at the high school? I don't know the answer to this. This is
This
different.
is a different
So
system
this is
than
a
what we
different
have at the
system.
high school. Yes, it is.
Right.
At the high school, we have a cooling tower. Yes.
We no longer will.
No, we will at the high school. These ones are for LaSalle Prep and Gaskill.
Okay, I'm sorry. So these are sealed, no tower.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we're going to have one tower left
Yes, we'll still have 1 tower.
at the high school.
That's correct, sir.
Yes.
That's what I was going with.
And I know where you were going.
It's the same problem.
And I know where you were
I
going
know
with
you
that,
do. I
that
feel your
Legion,
pain.
was it Legionnaires?
Well, New York State has got, put in these crazy laws and rules. The only state in the country. It's in the neck.
Yeah. New York State, I'm shocked. Shocking, tongue-in-cheek. Okay, I want you to see two things. Go ahead if you want one more thing, and I want to show them two more things on this. Go ahead, Ray. So this is something important for you to see because it's part of the building, and I want you to be very cognizant of why we're putting this Ingenia where it is, so it's not a shock to anybody. It doesn't go on the roof, or it doesn't go inside. Can you explain it?
The Ingenia goes in the basement.
Right, but what goes here?
These are the two chillers. So these will be on the south side of Gaskill. They'll be right outside here. There's a little, this is where the dumpster is, and there's a little shed there. So, and over here is the planting beds that they have. So it'll be going right here, a new pad with a fence will be installed. And then also at LaSalle.
Why there, Bill? Can you talk about why there? I think it's important that the board and the public know why there.
So we looked at putting them on the roof. The building was built in 1930. In 1928, the steel was 18,000 PSI steel. We now use 50,000 PSI steel. There was no way to put that kind of weight on the roof. So that was going to be very problematic. A lot of rework, a lot of additional reinforcing and such. So if we place them here, there's a pathway directly into the boiler room, or air handler rather, through here that we could connect to. So it was a great location for it, and we wanted to keep this area open for any possible future greenhouse. Yeah. It won't. They do make some noise.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
They
Yes.
do make some noise. I believe they run somewhere around 73 decibels, which is a little louder than like a dishwasher, depending on the dishwasher.
So that was my first question. The second question, will it block any windows that they can't see outside?
They'll still be able to see outside, but the rescue. Correct. That was taken into consideration, and the fencing stops before the rescue window. So that classroom will still have a rescue window or an egress window. It does.
Will the noise disrupt the classroom though?
It shouldn't. If the windows are going to be closed at that point because of the air conditioning. So when the air conditioning's running, the windows are going to be closed.
So we have a similar system set up at Hyde Park in that little alcove in the back of Hyde Park, and that unit is immediately adjacent to classrooms. It does not pose any noise for those classrooms in that building as well. So with the roof, it was the structural steel all day long. If we put them anywhere else, the length of run for the lines through structural walls, some of them, and this is no exaggeration, over 2 feet thick in buildings of this age, we would have had to core bore through 10 to 12 different walls to get us back to that air handler. This has got to chase, we're already got an opening. So it's a less expensive installation, it's just a better installation, because they're even closer to your coils in the air handlers. This is as close as you could get them, except for on the roof.
I will say the board members' questions are right where we were, and they're right on target. But in 28, when Angela was advising this group, they thought the stronger, the better for everything, and even steel. And you know, times have changed. Times have changed, and it's saving us a few bucks. But to both of your questions, board members, we considered the noise, the neighborhood, the look, the aesthetics, but we also looked at the run and the coring of it. LaSalle is a little easier.
Yeah, LaSalle is going on the back of the building, right in this area here. None. This is the no parking area right next to the building.
Only when I pull up and try and run it real quick. It's just mine. It's only my parking spot, but I'll walk a few more feet. That's a little bit more optimal in terms of everything, but it's the same setup, just in a more hidden place. But we wanted you to see this, not that, you know, it would be a major change order to change those, but we wanted you to be aware. The other thing I'd like you to be aware of, and I will make sure both of our administrators articulate this to the students and parents, that there is going to be time in those schools, in the hallways, when the ceiling tiles will not be there. In order to get this work done, there will be some times when it won't be the most aesthetically pleasing walk through the halls. Yeah, I've been hanging around with Earl. So I want the board to be aware of that, and I also will make sure that the principals share that with students and parents. But we will be working second shift with missing ceiling tiles to run something. I don't know what you're gonna run, but you're gonna run. Line sets, I knew that, line sets, you know. Good, I'm gonna move. So, moving on, I wanted just to show you a couple of things that we've already started doing. We've been talking to you about how tired in some areas Niagara Falls High School is getting. So we're starting to brand and spruce and spice up the school. These are a couple of the doors and elevators that are trying to make it feel more personal to kids. We thought they came out real nice the way they look. There might be another photo of that. Is there, Ray? Oh, no. This is we allocated money for this. Remember we told you over Christmas we were doing 2 new gym floors? The one with the yellow is the high school auxiliary gym that I don't think has been done for 24 years. So I'm real pleased with the way that came out. And the other one is cataract. And that hasn't been done since 2007, or when, or,
No, it
was it?
hasn't been done since its original construction, and it would have been the summer of '94.
Oh, so a couple of years beyond it. They were way, way, way in need. Now, at cataract, what you don't see is the stage was also done. And you can see a little bit of it. And the other thing that we're doing, Earl is doing with purchasing is, for cataract, we're purchasing a new stage curtain so that they'll have a fresh new stage curtain to do this. And again, our thinking is we don't ever want to get behind the 8 ball with gym floors, stage floors, or stage curtains where we have to do 13 of them all in 1 year. We'd rather pick 2 or 3 off at a time, 2 or 3 off at a time, going for even floor. We even have our floor mats that you see outside on a cycle. So at most, we're allocating 2 or 3 at a time.
Did you new lines and everything too?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And Rob, what will drive me insane or have me go apoplectic is if I see tape or paint on those new floors. And I've shared that with the principals. I do not want to see paint on the floors, or because I believe, Earl, you gave the principals and their teams the choice of what lines to put in.
I gave everyone from the principal, their gym coaches, and the athletic director say in what lines got put down on these courts.
I will go apoplectic. That means I'll get upset, Earl. If I see paint or tape.
To make it, to have it multiple cities.
Right. I think there was,
They're multi-sports.
They have pickleball.
we have pickleball.
I'm sorry?
Is it new wood?
No.
It's
no.
refinished.
I did go ahead and approve a very small change to the work for cataract because there was an oil-based stain in the floor and it encompassed about 6 square feet. It was an extra $1,500 from the bid. But it's all the original. And the reason these 2 floors were done and not every, the reason I didn't try to touch every floor in the district is there's some floors that you can no longer sand. We just have to recoat them. We'll have to address those other gym floors with the capital project, given the expense to completely replace the wood.
So we're using the original wood, we sand them,
Yes.
resurface them.
Yeah, they're sanded 4 times. They start with 16 grit and they end with 100.
Gotcha. What was the cost?
For both of the gym floors, it was just north of $43,000. Make it 44.8-ish with the $1,500 add for the replacement.
And if we had to replace the wood, it would be astronomical.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember, you replaced the wood
LaSalle.
at Gaskill and
LaSalle.
Reps gyms.
Remember how it buckled on the second floor?
Stewardship project, I forget the cost for those line items.
Problem.
If you look at what they're charging for homeowners
Yeah, I know.
to do probably far less square footage than we did, it seems like it's a great, it seems like it's a great price.
I think we got the premier contractor at about the best price you could.
We
get
did have a
anywhere.
premier I want to call him Archie O'Donohue.
That's correct.
Archie O'Donnell, to Sandy. We've worked in with him before, him and his company before, and they've always served us well.
You know, in the paper the other day, there was a lawsuit, there was one, I guess, by New York State or one of the agencies against the dump on,
Yeah, yes.
it was a lot of money, $670,000
Yeah.
fine. Is there any way that we'd be eligible for any of that, since we had to spend a lot of money trying to open windows and close windows and stuff with our kids?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first
Yeah.
part of that. What was that?
Allied,
Allied,
the dump, you know, the Seacoast Hill, the dump that we
Okay.
don't own, but
Right,
everybody calls us because it smells.
yeah.
You know that dump. No, we are part of that monitoring and remediation. We're not. So I don't even think it's all in the city of Niagara Falls. I think it's in the town of Niagara. It's in the town. So we aren't eligible for it, nor have I asked, but it's funny because I do get a lot of citizen calls about that.
Well, there's a lot of money there,
Yeah.
and that's not even the base, that's just part of it.
Yeah, it's a small part. Earl, there's not a picture of this, but I'm hoping you're going to say yes. Before we get to that, Ray, the Maria Massaro fire suppression system. We had to give her something. She doesn't come to any capital project meetings. We had to give her something. Remember, we have 5 records rooms at the CEC that we have to give fire suppression to out of our general fund budget.
That's correct.
Where are we with that?
Okay, the contractors loaded in most of their materials yesterday. They started work today. I checked in on them at about 1 p.m. today. They're moving along nicely. There are 5 rooms, as you mentioned, that will get the fire suppression for our archives. It was a total contract price of roughly $125,040.25, if I remember it correctly.
28 cents.
Yeah, I don't anticipate any change orders from it.
Yeah.
We did a little bit of their electrical work, not from their contract, but anticipation of this work in-house. I'm anticipating this work will be complete within 2 to 3 weeks from right now.
So all of our necessary records are in those 5 rooms, the records that we have to keep. And our fear, we've got a new roof on there so that LA'd one of our fears, and the roof is beautiful. The other fear was, God forbid, a fire, and there is that special gas that comes down in those, and we will not expand beyond those 5 rooms because Maria is responsible for discarding upon correct date. So we will have those 5 rooms finally fire suppressed to protect and guard all of our records. I bring it up because I wanted you to know the work has begun and should be done within 3 weeks.
I knew you were, the only thing I can tell you about it is it displaces enough oxygen so that a human being could still get out of the room, but a fire cannot sustain itself. I will get you the actual trade name. It's like a nitrogen, but it's an inert gas. Yeah, no, it's not halon. And I apologize for not having that for you tonight, but I'll get it to you guys.
The other option was to build Earl Bass a hut in there so he could stay and watch the records and live there and fire watch. Last slide, Ray. I'm going to let Maria answer that because she is the records queen. Microfiche, can you talk about where we are versus hard copy and microfiche, Maria?
So microfiche, we have, well, is our archive and we keep it forever. What we use now is the cloud. So what happens is, anytime that we're saving any of the records, they're being saved onto flash drives and then uploaded from the flash drive into the DocuWare system, which saves everything onto the cloud. So we have about 900 boxes left to do, down from about probably 1,050 boxes. So we've been at this project for quite some time, and the reason that we're at about 900 boxes is because every year we add boxes to it, right? We went through a huge record purge. I think it was in 2017. We did the purge of all the appropriate records at that time when we consolidated, and now when the records go over to the records room, they're labeled correctly with their expiration date. The ones that we have to keep forever, we are in a scanning project. We scan those, they're saved in the cloud. Any of the records that were on microfiche are still on microfiche. We no longer save records onto microfiche.
Are there any records that we have to save in hard copy?
Yes, we have to save all of the records that have to do with the construction of a building or a capital project for 50 years after the date that we close a building.
So those records will be with us.
Yeah.
No, you had a stellar report card, Nick. We can bring it. You didn't graduate that long. So now what we have in front of you, members of the viewer, we have three guys trying to figure out the name of the gas.
Novak 1230. Thank you very much, Chris.
What was it?
Novak 1230.
I knew it. Is it the 1230 gas? The Novak 1230? 1230. He was asking about.
No, it's a halocarbon. Yeah, it's an inert gas. Yeah.
You like gases, huh, Russ? Last slide I want to show you, and let me set this up for a moment. Every 5 years, a school district is required to do what they call the building condition survey. And our year is this year. By March 1st, 2024, which is fewer than 2 months away, it seems, we've got to enter a lot of data into the system. We can't, Earl and his team can't do it. We have to hire an outside architecture firm because they knew our building so well. We hired CPL to do this, and they're done. I think, Bill, do you want to go through this quickly?
Yeah, the state requires, and every few years they change the questions, right? So right now we're up to about 130 questions, and that's based on every building that the district owns. So we go through, we'll do the building condition survey, we bring our engineers and architects through the buildings, they walk through every space, they meet with Earl, they meet with his team to make sure if there are any questions, if they've noticed any problems and such, we try to identify them. And then eventually we will build the 5-year executive plan for you. We'll sit down, we prioritize things. There's 130 questions, as I mentioned. Each building gets a grade. So we go through and we look at each individual system, mechanical systems, the exterior envelope, the roofs, everything from the foundation to the roof gets examined. And we go through and there's a grading system, excellent, satisfactory, unsatisfactory, and failing. We're very happy to announce that Niagara Falls City School, all the buildings are satisfactory. So that's something everyone should be very proud of.
Yeah, so I want you to know that this was an allocation you made in last year's budget. We'll pay them when it's all inserted and approved. But we are complete, and I did receive a call and an email from somebody from CPL who's going to start inputting the data. And by March 1st, we will have met our requirement of a 5-year building condition survey. Last comment I'll make is, when you go to do a capital project in 5 years or 3 years or 2 years, something that the state looks for is, did they include that on their building condition survey? That's really the impetus for how they approve things. Why are you asking for a new roof at Calvis if you just did it 3 years ago? So they springboard from the BCS to the beginning stages of approval for any capital projects. That's why it was so important that CPL included everything that we may want to do in the upcoming next 5 years. And I'm pleased to report we're in satisfactory condition across the board. Even if one building, I think, was unsatisfactory, the whole district gets wiped out. It's like our test scores. We've got 1 or 2 schools that are targeted schools. It makes the whole district a targeted district. So that's how state ed thinks and works.
Yeah, and the same thing for each building. For example, if one of the systems is failing or unsatisfactory, it brings down the entire building. So, kudos to the district for maintaining the buildings in the condition that they have been maintained.
Yeah, no, really, kudos to the board, because they have not let any of the buildings slip. They've always been supportive of our capital projects. They've always been supportive of what projects to do and not do. They've listened. And I'm going to tell you, at the end of a BOFA, we will be one of the very few school districts that have all buildings air conditioned. I mean, as a board, that's something to be proud of. Remember,
Considering the ages of these buildings,
especially Gaskell and LaSalle. And it wasn't because we did, it was because you or I, we didn't like Gaskell or LaSalle. We knew this was going to be a big cost and a big piece of work, right from where to locate that, to how to drill in, to what kind of a system you could build within. This is a big undertaking to knock off those last 2 buildings. But you can be proud to say you are board members in a district that has every building air conditioned in about 1.5 years when it's up and running. So, in conclusion, when we go through the agenda review, you're going to see we won't have any names of contractors on here because we don't know who the bidders are, but you're going to see some placeholders for contractors that we're going to open up next Tuesday. And I promise you, Tuesday night, I'll give you the lowest apparent bidder, and then Chris, Tony, Stu, Bill really start to work to make sure that everything's in there.
talking about the air conditioning, I probably forgot. Is 79th Street done yet, or we're still working on 79th Street?
It's all done.
It's all done. When was that completed? This?
The air conditioning?
Yeah. It was done this summer, for this summer?
No. It was completed the summer before last.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you getting complaints? Oh, okay.
No, they're all done except these 2. Yeah. I want to set two expectations, though. 2 expectations from this presentation. One, remember, folks that are listening, if your children go to those schools, you will see ceiling tiles missing. It has to happen. We can't jam it all in the summer. That's number 1. And number 2, please don't expect the air conditioning to be turned on May 10th of this year. It's going to take some time to get this to work, okay? So we're probably going to have to go through one more warm spring, summer, fall before we can kick things up. So I don't want people to say, hey, you told me on January 11th we're having air. I want to set a reasonable expectation, that's all. And I want to thank you. Are there other questions for these gentlemen?
LaSalle and Gaskell.
That's it, Rob. Everything else is done. Roofs are done. Gym floors are done. Floor mats are done. We have gotten a lot. You have gotten a lot done in the last number of years. Bill, I'll give you a B+.
Thank you.
What's your name? The drinking fountain Dowling, A. Stu, C-. Thank you very much. All right. Earl, yeah, no, I only pick on the people I love, Stu. You know I love you. Yeah, if you put So let me start to set the tone for the agenda review. Now, this is your voting meeting of the 25th, 2 weeks from today. We are going to have I've been talking about this. We're going to have the team from Say Yes Buffalo come and give you a presentation on Say Yes, what it means, and how Niagara Falls could be the first expansion point for Say Yes. Secondarily, hopefully Becky, or if not Becky, myself, will present a preliminary, thank you guys, a preliminary 24-25 budget. Preliminary. You know, it's not until the end of March when we have to have this done. The governor gave her State of the Union address. The runs have not come out yet, so a lot will be very preliminary. And then each board meeting will give you the budget, and then we'll do an agenda review. Would you go to the... There we go, Ray. We will begin with all of the usuals that evening. Going down minutes, but no budget transfers. Okay, now listen, this is really, I want you to see, scroll up so they can see. Listen, there are 7 bids. You may not approve all 7 bids, but I want to explain this to you. We are going to have one bid, we're going to select one bid for the lowest apparent general GC. We're going to have one plumbing bid. If you go down to number 7, we're going to have one electrical bid. But if you stay with 3, 4, 5, and 6, why are there 4 HVAC bids? At the advisement of our construction manager and listening to the possible bidders, they were concerned about the largesse of our project and being able to handle the bonding amount and being able to handle the job with women power. So we are giving the bidders a choice on how to bid this. Contract number 3 is just for cataract. Remember, cataract was an alternate. Contract number 4 is for half the schools. Contract number 5 is for the other half of the schools. And contract number 6 is if one bidder comes in and takes the whole thing at the lowest price. We did it purposefully and intentionally to try to keep the best bidding environment, because many of our HVAC companies said, we will not bid on this. It's too big. We've got too much other work. And we tried to listen to them, even though it's a bid number 11, number 6 that I hope happens. So some of these will go away at your board meeting. There's a treasurer's report, budget status report. There are short-term contracts, and here are the 7, and I am holding pretty fast and hard to not adding anything unless something becomes an emergency. 1 and 2. Is this the right one, Ray? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. 1 and 2 are for travel for Gaskill to Washington, D.C. LaSalle takes a trip, Gaskill takes a trip. That money will come from the students, the family, the parents, but we oversee the contracts. Number 3 is for a girls' empowerment group at a couple of schools, LaSalle Prep, Gaskill Prep, and Bond Primary. Number 4 is for Tony Cerace in Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center. Why? Tony is going to do the sports physicals for the spring. We still need Tony for spring sports physicals. That's an A code, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. That comes out of the general fund budget. Number 5, Niagara University is a grant. This is for early college credits for kids at high school in the REACH program. This is to get college credits while you're in high school, and we pay through the grant for the credits. Number 6 is for a program at Harry Abbott, a Boys to Men program, a Project Lee program, a mentoring program for 72 Abbott students, paid for by a grant. And number 7 is, again, another request from 2 elementary schools. Rick, I think, is it Abbott and Gaskill?
It is.
Abbott and Gaskill asked for the National Federation of Just Communities to come in and help us do some diversity awareness sessions with the students. This is to hold circles of healing and understanding with the students at those schools, so that we continue our mission of DEI, respect for one another. Those are the 7 contracts. Moving ahead to new business. There are 3 acceptance of funds. Let me tell you about those 3. The first one is for a Pathways in Technology. This is our grant with, is this a P-Tech, Rick, for community college, Rich?
Yes,
This is our second P-Tech grant. You know, this is a computer application one from the state, $150,000. The next one, school-based mental health providers, $721,679 for mental health supports. And the third one is another mental health grant, $500,000. So just at this board meeting alone, you are going to hopefully approve $1.2 million for college credit courses and for mental health supports through those grants. 604 is really Judy's grant. Judy's, no, 604 isn't. Let me tell you what 604 is. Oh my God, 604. Oh my God. Maria, get ready to help me. 604. Let me explain to you what this is, or try to. Maria, ready. We are having a very difficult time with the federal government understanding what the legal name of this school district is. We believe that the legal name of, and Angela, you correct me if I'm wrong, we believe that the legal name of the school district is the City School District of the City of Niagara Falls. Your district is called the City School District of the City of Niagara Falls. What Becky and Richard have to do is go into a system to draw money for these grants. Okay, so far? Certain entities in the government are not recognizing our name as the City School District of the City of Niagara Falls. Hence, they're not releasing money for us. We have been, since before Christmas, on the phone, literally 4 of us, with every agency possible to try to clear this up, because what's really happening is our federal entitlements are being held up for cash flow. So we are going to continue on our own end to clear this up, but we want to pass a formal resolution once and for all that states that our school district's title is the City School District of the City of Niagara Falls. And we want to make sure that the board members are aware of what we're doing and make that once and for all our name. Maria, how did I do?
Wonderful, and Becky's listening, and she concurs that you did a great job explaining.
Thanks.
And it's mostly because, again, not to over-topic, but it's mostly because we're listed as the Niagara Falls Board of Education, and we needed in one place that it says we're the City School District of the City of Niagara Falls. That's mostly the reason, is because we have 2 separate names with our tax ID number.
The Niagara Falls Board of Education, they won't release it to the City School District of the City of Niagara Falls because that's not our technical name. And we can't use the Board of Education of the Niagara Falls. That's not our real legal name. That is holding up millions. We'll get the money, but it's holding up millions of dollars. So we're putting every pair of suspenders and belt on to show that you're aware of this problem and that the IRS is aware of the problem, the SAM system that Richard's in all the time is aware of this problem, and to get this cleaned up once and for all. So we said, you know what, we'll make sure that the board is aware. Does your board know of? I want you to know what we're going through, and that's only to approve our name formally here.
I want you to know I find this amusing. With PPP and everything else, they gave away billions of dollars, never knew where it went. And they're giving us a bunch of baloney for one word.
Russ,
It's amusing.
as I often do, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, for a semantical word here or there, they're holding on to our money. And I'm driving Becky insane, Richard insane, Maria insane. And when I tell you we were here on the day before Christmas trying to get this done, I'm not, and on the phone for 3 hours doing this. What, and you talk about waste of money. What a waste of our money and time.
It's not like they can't find us.
Or it's not like we were built yesterday. I think we go back. I know I talked about Angelo in the 1920s in school, and I think we know some people are in the late 1800s, 1890s. Your comic statement is so appropriate, Russ, but that's what we're dealing with. And I'm telling everybody publicly, this is no nefarious finding. It is a matter of words. And they're holding up any federal grants. Anything that comes through the state financial system federally, they're holding the money up. We'll get it, but they're really making us sweat. So, and then they tell you, I'll just go all in there. What time are you going to be at your desk? 11:30. What day? Monday through Friday. Okay, we'll call you then. Sit at the desk, no call comes. Hey, if I'm lying, tell them. Then you go into the computer like, it's frustrating. Never mind. Judy, you want to get rid of your ballots?
Much to get rid of my ballots, yes, please.
That's from last year?
Those are from May, and yeah, the retention schedule requires that I hold on to unused ballots for 6 months and then have the board, be aware that I'm tossing them out.
We would like you to give permission to get rid of the ballots. 606, 607, 608. There's going to be some updated names on this because I've asked to put 2 middle school students' names on this. Remember, these are the safety committees, district-wide safety teams, Chief Pachaco, Chief Del Porto, Chief Superintendent Ligamari are on the teams. These are all the safety committee teams. But I'm going to give you, Judy's going to send out an updated one because I'd like to include 2 middle school students who have been very aggressive and speaking their piece about the code of conduct. And I want them to have the experience of being on the team. So we'll update that. 609 is the appointment of voter registration. Judy, you want to speak on that at all?
Sure, just the Board of Registrars, which will be here at this building, and it's on a prescribed date, it's the 29th of April.
610, you're getting a lot of positive praise for. We are, Niagara County Community College has started a program called NCCC in your neighborhood. We are opening this up to parents. Parents at Bond, I believe a Bond is where it's going to be hosted. This is going to cost less than $1,000 of parent engagement. For parents who sign up for this course, they can get 3 college credits. And the purpose is to, if we upgrade the level of our parents to college level, we'll upgrade the level of our kids. So we have an agreement. It says your resolution says not to exceed $1,000. But for 24 individuals, it's going to cost us $879, and we've got family and community engagement money to do this, or parent involvement to do this. They need to be. Somebody posted, why does it have to be Niagara Falls parents only? It's got to be parents, and it's got to be Niagara Falls people only, because it's to help our parents help their kids. That's why. So for whoever posted that on Facebook, if you're listening, I don't respond on Facebook, but I will tell you. Why do you have to be a Niagara Falls parent? Because it's to help you help your child. And it's coming out of one of our grants. So it'll be for less than $1,000. It'll be a 3-credit course for parents. 611 is our English as a new language course. We've done this now for 3 semesters. This is Saturday at Abbott. Our ENL parents come and they get taught by a professor from Niagara University, and our own ENL teachers go and work with our kids on Saturday mornings at Abbott. It's a wonderful program. 612 is a placeholder for Child Victims Act cases. We've talked about this in executive session. It's a placeholder. You will get a distribution of the exact wording at the time of the board meeting. But that is a placeholder for that. We have spoken about Child Victims Act in executive session, and now we're doing it with some finality in certain cases in public. 613 through 19. These are, you saw the bids up top? These are the contracts that go with the bids. So if company Smeal wins the bid, then you award the contract down here. If company Corella wins the electrical bid, you give him the bid up at the top, and you will award his contract down here. And then, if all's good, we give them the notice to proceed to work starting tomorrow, or the day after. 620. These are American Rescue projects. This is for HVAC equipment, and this is to pay for the electrical part of that, the CalFIS and bond and high school work. That is for $23,841.19. 621 is to pay Johnson Controls $32,490.61. And number 622 is for ARP to pay HVAC work to DV Brown for $48,450. What are those payments for? The work that we showed you in that PowerPoint out of American Rescue Funds. There is one policy. I have had no comment about extending the age to 17 and to do this immediately upon your approval. It's something that Ms. Villardo and the high school team has recommended, and it's to make sure that our kid, we now have the board policy behind not being able to leave at 16, but to have the impetus to stay. It is board policy that you must stay until you're 17, and I'm going to recommend we approve that. The regular oral communications on the 8th. The F-Bites, you pass a lot of F-Bite resolutions. The kids want to come and show you what they're learning there. We'll do another budget. On the 22nd, we'll have another topic, and we'll do the budget. We're going to do the budget every meeting after the 25th. Every meeting will be budget after the 25th. With that being said, I'd ask Ms. Massaro to come forward and to share with us scintillating personnel reports.
Just the first draft, as usual. Okay, so we'll start with certificated report. You have a retirement of a principal on special assignment, and we're very sad about this retirement.
Yes, very sad.
We had a resignation of a speech-language pathologist, and you'll see there we have some probationary appointments. We have added a special education teacher to Maple Avenue, a second language teacher at Niagara Falls High School, filling a vacancy, and an additional social worker at LaSalle Preparatory School. You'll also see there some regular substitutes, English, science, PSA, and special education. We had one 60-day conversion. Leave of absence. That leave of absence is for educational purposes, and then you'll see your schedules listed there.
Two questions, Maria.
Yes, sir.
Will there be asterisks
There will be.
before the 25th? And could you go to page 2 of 8? The first full name down there, not the Hamburg. That individual is returning to us at the same step she left us at. Is
Correct.
that right?
Correct.
Because there was a question out there, and I wanted to just confirm that she left us, went to another district, and is now coming back.
And
So go ahead. You
I
take.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to really note that she was not even gone a full year.
She wasn't even gone, but she's coming back where she
Correct.
was. Nothing added, nothing more.
That's correct.
Okay? Thanks, Maria.
Yep. And then moving on to your classified report, there will be additions to this as well. You're seeing the provisional appointment of a school office support clerk at Niagara Falls High School, a couple of temporary appointments for an assistant child care associate and a school office support clerk, leave of absence, involuntary transfer, and then some after-school work. I don't know if you have any questions, but you will be getting
No,
updated.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Previous conversations we've had about residents, why did this teacher want to come back?
There were
Is it
multiple
is it
reasons,
personal?
but she missed the district.
Oh, that was nice to know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I
missed
think some people might be interested in knowing that.
She missed the district. She missed the high school. She missed me. She missed Maria.
The students,
She missed the students. Don't talk about Rick like that. So there will be additions, Maria. Okay. So I just want to lay something out also for the board, the viewing audience, and the public. We are going to begin, and I hesitate to say this because it sounds like we're moving off of year 23, 24 too quick. But I have asked different departments, from Maria to Rick to Cheryl Mateer in special education, to begin looking at the staffing levels and grade configurations for next year and to report to me those in February. I want to get staffing done and contracts out and board approval in May and June without any question. So we have accelerated I call it roll forwards. How many third grades do we need at Maple? How many special ed classes? So what I tasked the team with this morning was that by February 23rd, I wanted to have a first look at what those look like. Then we'll take a couple of weeks to scrub them up, and then over Easter vacation, while we're working, I think we can get some finalization and start plopping, that's a bad word, start planning where we need openings and putting people in place. So that in May, people will know, and that personnel report will get super thick. But we're accelerating that whole process this year for many reasons.
Mark, can I ask a quick question?
You can ask anything, as
Maria,
long as it's not
I'll
about
ask Maria,
gas.
Maria,
If it's about gas, I'm not gonna answer it.
if it's an easy thing, and nothing's easy, but I don't want to spend thousands of hours. Is it possible to get a list of staff that are not in the classroom but on special assignment or whatever you may call it? I think that'd be interesting to see.
that's a relatively easy list.
Okay.
Yeah, that's doable.
Thank
Do you have a question for Maria about gases anywhere? No, okay. Yeah, then we call in our own.
I have a question for you, Mark. He came up last night at the BOCES meeting. How many students do we have outside of a 12-1 attending BOCES, or here that we're serving?
How many students do we have at BOCES?
No, how many students, not counting 12-1, that we are servicing in our district and sending out?
In the special area realm, or in the special education realm?
Yeah, special education.
156. 156
That's all we're servicing?
outside of the district.
Oh, outside of the
Outside,
district.
at various locations, Summit, Falk, lots at Falk, Summit, help me. Autism Services, Baker Victory, Cambridge, last time I looked and it was before Christmas, 156. It's to that point, and getting off target a little bit, had a meeting in special education with the team today, and it looks like we have to add 4 or 5. We need to add 4 or 5 next year additional autism classes to our district. Now these are we had a meeting with special ed today because I wanted to share with them my expectation about staffing. And when we were in these 4 or 5, I'm talking 5-year-olds, 6-year-old kids.
What's the ratio of the teachers?
They're mostly 812 and 813. Mostly 812 and 8. So it's few kids. These are very severely autistic children that we're keeping in district. 8 kids, 1 teacher, 2 or 3 aides, depending on their needs. It's very costly, but very necessary. and the handicapping condition is autism. I just want you to, we have, it's my belief that we need to service those kids in district as much as we can. I like to send kids to their neighborhood school or close to their neighborhood school. I can't tell you though how concerning it is to me the number of young children that are coming up through the district that have autism. And Nick, Mr. Velardo, I ask, and this table can attest to it, every week we say, why? What is going on? Now, we know some people move here for Social Security benefits, we talked about. Some people, a lot of them are coming and using McKinney-Vento to double up in McKinney-Vento housing. Do we not ask this question every week? I don't have a better answer.
It'd be for use of drugs and stuff like that. Do you think affects the rate on this, or what? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
It's funny. Cheryl Mateer said, "Wow, what a great project it would be to study this population to see what it was." I don't have a good answer, and I rhetorically ask every Wednesday at our meeting. I don't understand it. I don't understand, and believe me, I want those are our children. I want them. I want them in our schools. I want them at Cataract and Kelfis and LaSalle. They belong with us. It's just an exponential growth of autism in our district.
Maybe we'll find enough teachers for this?
I know that's our worry.
Yeah.
Well, you're tying it right together. That's why we're moving quickly on this staffing thing, because we're gonna have to know for two reasons. We got to find the teachers, and we got to know what the budget.
We have the
impact is.
room. Do we have the rooms?
Were you at the meeting today?
No, but I mean, it's just common sense. I mean, you know,
No, that was
I'm
the
not the
third-
brightest bulb in a peg, but I do have some common sense.
No, that was the third issue, Nick. Like where? What room? The schools are packed, with classes. So. You can't stick them all in. No, we're not going to put them all at one school. We're not going to make a special. No, it isn't. As a matter of fact, and I'm way out ahead of myself, but I've planned it since you asked it. We've even had a brief conversation about taking the second floor of the CEC and making that an autism center, because these outside agencies will not take our kids anymore. Why? They don't have staff. So you read right into why I want to do, well, there's a lot of reasons, budget, but why I want to see how many special ed teachers we need. But it's growing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's growing, and the estimate we got today was 5 more.
Is this the time that maybe we should take the leading role in meeting with the presidents of Buffalo State and UB and Niagara and tell them what our needs are going to be?
Yes, I'm doing that. I have meetings set for 3 of the colleges, Buff State, Niagara, and NCCC, in this month. So, and you know what? And again, this is all Maria Workday. She is going to be putting together, and we'll share this with you, the application for the 28 residents. We got that residency grant, but you have to be in a high need area to apply for the residency. Special ed is one of them. What are the other ones? Can you remember?
Health, science, could be ELA, ELL.
Special ed.
Yeah, special ed. Elementary ed, special education, math, science, health, and, did I say ELL?
Yep. Remember, that's that residency grant where they work for us and we pay out of the grant department, we pay a stipend of their money. But they'll only be able to come as building-based subs for us. They won't be, hopefully in a year and a half they'll be teachers, but next year they'll come as 28 building-based subs.
There was math, science, what was, Maria, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Math, science?
Elementary education, math, science, special education, health, and I think we had, if I'm not mistaken, I think we might have had,
ELA?
ELA.
ELA, English.
Sorry, world language.
Oh, world language, yes. Second language. You know how, it's not just us, you know how tough that is, definitely second language. So we'll have Maria do a whole presentation with Dr. Foote on that, we'll have Dr. Foot and Maria, they wrote the grant. It's 28 individuals. We get a stipend to give them their courses, but they have to serve as our building-based subs, and they take their classes on Saturday. It's a 2-year grant, 2-year process. And you have to have a master's degree already, a bachelor's. You have to have a bachelor's already, but the bachelor's could be in political science, which was my bachelor's degree. So, yeah, yes.
I have another question.
Yeah.
And it has nothing related to this, though, and not a question, this statement more than anything else. I don't know if you're aware that St. Stan's is looking to sell some of their property, or all of it.
Yes.
And I don't know if we need any more land for Niagara Street. Not all of it, I'm saying, but even part of it, either for
Yeah.
parking or for the greenhouse construction, because I know they're looking to get out of there
Yeah.
shortly. So, and I know the election's coming up shortly, so this might be a time to consider we need the land to put on the proposition of ballot.
We'll make a phone call. I haven't, we'll make a phone call.
Yeah, it's coming up about, 20 years too late or 15 years too late?
Yeah.
Because we wanted to buy it for Niagara Street School, and they wouldn't sell it.
Well, there's a couple of other properties that that I'd like to look at. One near Cataract, if you know what I'm talking about. Oh God, you know what always has bothered me? The parking situation around Gaskill. And I've heard it for years about the parking at Gaskill. And we've done a little looking there. We started to do a little looking there for an alternative place, because the parking around Gaskill is not good. Street, and especially in the winter. Right, we don't like that, you know. So yeah, it's something to look at. It's something to look at, and we will. Yeah. I'd like to conclude, if I may, with just some updates, and I'll answer any other questions you have. Which one? Oh, that's a possibility. It's a little bit of a walk. It's a possibility. I want to tell you that before this meeting, we had an internal audit meeting with Bondadeo. I want to give you just a quick summary. Mr. Consemi and Mr. Velardo were part of that meeting. I'd like to give you a quick summary of three things that were discussed. Number one, we always go through the internal claims audit. In the months of September, October, and November, Denise, the internal claims auditor, looked at 1,094 packages. That totaled $24,423,215. She found one discrepancy, one, for an 8/100th of a percentage, one. It was for a $4,400 confirmatory for an evaluation of 2 ENL students. That's really good work by our finance committee. The second thing we heard from the audit committee was they did a risk assessment of all of our areas, and they had a scoring system. No area fell higher than low moderate in terms of risk, which, as reported, was very good. What we agreed to select for the internal audit were three things. They are going to audit our asset controls, meaning Earl buys a lot of equipment. Ray has a lot of equipment. They're going to make sure that we have appropriate lists, appropriate controls, and most importantly, make sure that the department leaders know where those assets are. We have not done this audit in a long, long time. I think it's a good one to do. A local district just had this done, and I think that they will test a number of locations, and they will do that. The second thing we're going to have them audit, because we have money left under the $19,000 allocation, is to do an audit of our ARP capital projects. Tying it into this evening, all those ARP projects. They're going to test to make sure we've done everything right, from bidding to purchasing to payments. And the last thing, Ray will love this, the last thing that they're going to do is they're going to do a couple of penetration tests only, Ray. Just a couple of IS penetration tests. Ray has done a good job with his staff on fishing, but Ray would tell you that many years ago, they did a penetration test and saw something in the HVAC system at Bond. So they're going to do a couple of just penetration tests. So at the April meeting, you'll get your internal audit report. I would like to continue and tell you this. This Saturday at the Niagara Falls High School Wolf Arena, the Harlem Wizards will be in town. Tickets are going fast. We're really, really, really excited about that. Any proceeds will be divided among the school parent groups. So if you're listening, go see the Harlem Wizards. You can buy tickets at the door. Next, I'm just so proud of our girls wrestling team. We have 9 female wrestlers, and we're starting to come into placing, first, second, and third. The girls are loving it. We've developed a nice relationship with Niagara Wheatfield, so it's a joint team. They're getting along well, and we had a girl place in first place in a tournament, and we're sending our girls this weekend to Oswego. So I'm really proud of our girls wrestling, and I'm proud to tell you that we're partnering with, because I came up with the Newport board meeting that I watched on Monday, and the board heard that we're partnering with them for boys lacrosse. We just don't have enough kids to fill a whole team. Happy about that. I want to just call out 2 kids. Well, I won't call them by name, but because of our PS2 program, a Niagara Falls High School current senior has been offered a job at HDM Hydraulics as a machinist right out of high school. I think that's a pretty good job, to become a machinist right out of high school. He learned in our PS2 program, and HDM Hydraulics hired him. And also, a graduate from last year wrote to us that, and Tony, sorry Tony's not hearing this, his name is David Ramos, he's a graduate. He got hired immediately as an electrician at IBEW 237. So they both wrote to us to say thank you for helping us get those jobs. And I mean, the high school's overjoyed about this machinist, and it was nice that David came back and told us he got hired by IBEW 237. I told him, wait till you meet Mr. Pareto. That'll be a whole nother story. Yeah, he may then become a machinist. Then he might become a machinist. Speaking of accomplishments, we're back at it with robotics, but look at this. First time ever, we had a Niagara Falls High School team compete at Niagara Community College in Tech Wars against 33 other teams. Niagara Falls High School robotics, first and second place. Same competition for prep schools, Gaskell and LaSalle, 14 other teams, building bridges, second place. Pretty good, robotics kids. I would like to recognize and honor at this meeting Dr. Martin Luther King. On Monday, we will celebrate his birth and all of his accomplishments with a day off. We will have a celebration for Dr. King in April. We moved the celebration because we were frequently interfered with weather, and hopefully April 16th we'll have a better day, and we've had better turnouts, but I did not want to let the meeting pass without recognizing the accomplishments and the appreciation for Dr. King, and the hope that as we take days off on Monday, we take a pause, stop, and realize it's not another day off because we have football on all day. It's because someone had courage to stand up for the rights of others. So with that statement, I conclude my comments, and I thank you, board members, very much. We do not need an executive session. We've covered a lot of ground, and I just want to say before our next board meeting on the 25th, kids will take Regents exams again, and I wish them all the very best. Mr. Petrosi, members of the board, that's all I have for you this evening. So thank you very much.
Questions? Any questions? No questions? Go. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.